In this video, we're going to show you how to use the Lyra 8 drone synth by Soma Labs. We're going to have to set aside all of our ideas and concepts about subtractive synthesis with a chromatic keyboard. Because here we're entering a workflow that's strictly suited for experimental drone sounds. It makes sounds ranging from horrific to gorgeous within seconds sometimes. The cool part of this is when we start diving into modulation, we sometimes aren't too sure of where things are going to go next. Things can get pretty exciting. Now at first glance this might look pretty complicated, but with anything that looks complicated, we're going to break it down to the most simple parts to see how it's organized. This way we can develop our own workflow with how we want to perform with this pretty unique instrument. So we're looking here at 8 oscillators down here. They're just 2 metal pads, and all you have to do is put your finger over it and it will trigger that oscillator. Next we look here, we have fast release. So all those are switched down to fast right now. So that's why when we let go, it fades out relatively quickly. If we turn, let's say, this one up, what that's going to do is sustain the note. And it slowly kind of fades. If you want to re-trigger it, just press it again. If we want to turn it off, just flip it back down. And now what we want to look at is up here it says tune. Now, this can work with chromatic kind of songs, but we do have to consider we're dealing with something that doesn't step the pitch. So we can't lock these down easily. If we really want to tune it to another instrument, we have to make very subtle motions with these knobs. So what we have to imagine are all of these voices are paired. So they're paired up here, and you can look at it that way. So we have 2 major groups of the 4 oscillators. So 2 sets right here. And all the controls are mirrored over here. Now we can see on the far edge, we have mod. And the same here. Mod, mod. And in here, the inner 2 for each set is sharp. So if we trigger this and turn it, we can hear it. It actually turns it to a square. And it also gives the sound of the volume going up. The sharpness is affected by each group that we have here. Let's say we want to work with modulation. So modulation is, in other words, we have a wave, and then this introduces another wave into that. So that's what modulation means. When we turn this up, we're just telling it to modify this wave even more from the original wave. So the source of the modulation, so you can hear what the waves are doing to each other. So if these switches are set to the middle, they're just going to be a single tone. So that's all that we have right now. If we want to start changing modulation, what I'm going to do is going to switch this up. Now this says 5 to 6, so it's saying it's going to get modulation source from this into what we hear here. So we'll just turn up mod and then we can hear what this is going to do. So we don't hear too much of a change here. So that means we just have to play either one of these. And we'll do this one too. We can change the pitch and hear what that does. We'll turn mod up here. Now the more we do this, we can get this mode if we turn it all the way up. Now over here we can actually have this be modulated by 7 and 8. So now we're having a lot of interactions going on here. And we can do that across here too, same controls. So if we turn the switch down, we have an option. We have LFO, which means it'll run through the hyper LFO, or if this total FB is up, what that's going to do is take the total feedback or the entire audio that we have and run it back through and modulate this wave. So it's going to add this entire other setting here. Now, this one, if it's up, that means voice 3 to 4, this one, will be modulating 5 to 6. If we go down here, then 7 and 8 are going to be modulating 1 and 2. So when this is on, we can switch between those modulations. So we're going to start off with the LFO here. So we're going to make sure that's off, the hyper LFO. So if this is set to up here, it will be and, or it's going to be adding the 2 LFOs. If we flick it down, it's going to be multiplying the 2 LFOs, and that's the result. We can see it with the light here. Now, if we have this up, it's in sync mode, so it changes the timing. And then if it's down, then it'll change the timing to something different. So sync on. And then we can change this. So you can hear the difference there. It's just adding the LFOs. Now if you turn mod up too high, it just like kind of goes away. Oh, there it comes back. So it'll depend on how high you turn the modulation on here. You get a lot of different combinations of sounds just using that. So now we're going to flick this on. So remember that changes the mode. So when these are flicked down, now it's going to be going through the entire feedback of the entire signal. Now we have to remember here we have a pitch up here. Now what that does is it controls the pitch of all of these 4 oscillators. So it's pretty nice to have. And if you flick this up, it'll turn the vibrato on, and we'll be able to hear that. So we have a lot of different sounds that we can make through just these options. Now we're going to add some effects. So right here is the mod delay section. And then we have distortion right here. So I'm just going to illustrate here. We have mix right here. So if we turn this up, we're going to hear the mod delay mixed into the signal. We'll turn up FB or feedback. In other words, how long that delay is going to be playing back. So we can hear it. It's kind of metallic because right here we have time 1 and 2. Now we can range this. Time 1, it'll just change the time that delay will be going across. Okay, so you can change 2 different times, so we can have 2 different delays going at the same time. We can turn these to make weird sounds. These 2 knobs are the modulation knobs, so it's the amount that we want, whatever this wave is, to be sent through to the time. So in other words, it'll change the time. So if we turn this up here, and we have this set to the middle, it's not going to modulate anything. But if we flip it up, it's going to be modulated by the actual audio tone. And then if we flick it down, it's going to be sent to the hyper LFO. Now we can make it square or triangle, and that will change the shape of this LFO. You can already hear it because these are up so high. Now we change it to the triangle. Let's say we want something to be kind of like nice and subtle, so we'll just move them down to a lower amount. And then we have distortion, so we have mix and then the distortion amount. I like to add reverb. I think it's really important to have more effects to make this really sound awesome. So another cool function here is hold. So if we have, let's say we have this turned on, and then we turn hold up. So what that does, if we go beyond the middle mark here, it's going to actually start playing everything in the background. So here we can kind of adjust it if we want it just to kind of stay there. And that's controlling all of these. And if we want it to fade out, we just bring it down.